Welcome, entrepreneurs and future business owners. I'm your host, Corey Wilson, and I'm accompanied by my wife and co-host.
My name is Nakeicha Wilson.
Yes, and this is the Wilson Podcast. Now, this is our first podcast. Our goal for this podcast is to educate and build a community around entrepreneurship. And what better way to build a community than educating? So we said for our first podcast, let's think of a few topics that are common in what we do. What we do on our 9 to 5 is we are entrepreneurs.
Who 9 to 5? I don't have a 9 to 5.
Well, I mean, in the sense of our work. We are advisors and coaches, and our goal is to work with and educate entrepreneurs to help them build healthier and stronger businesses. And so with that being said, the first piece or the first order of the day is to talk about finances and financial literacy as far as in respect to business owners and entrepreneurs. Financial literacy is something that entrepreneurs are lacking in heavily. Matter of fact, Americans, there's a 66% financial illiteracy, not literacy, illiteracy rate of Americans. And that just transfers to business owners and entrepreneurs. And we found that by working with dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs that are having issues with financial literacy, because there are certain times when entrepreneurs, when you get into business, and when you're in the business, you're looking for support, financial support mostly. We found that most business owners, they don't need financial support, they need other support. But their finances are one of the main topics that we always touch on, because for some reason, when people are in business and they're looking for loans, they're looking to get incentives or grants, their finances are not in good shape. Do you want to speak a little bit to that about financial literacy and the business owners we've worked with?
Americans are financially illiterate. Illiterate kind of sound like a curse word. I don't like using that word, but it's the facts. And if you can't manage your personal finances, then you can't manage your business finances. Yeah. And a lot of business owners jump into business ownership and they don't have their personal finances, or they don't understand their personal finances in general. So if 66% of Americans are financially illiterate, about 50% of business owners are financially illiterate. And most of the issues that business owners have are directly correlated to their lack of financial knowledge. The 3 financial statements that most business owners should understand and know how to read, and that's your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, and your income statement. And your profit and loss statement just shows you your income and your expenses over a specific period of time. And your balance sheet basically shows you what your business owes and what your business owns. Some businesses can look as if they're doing really well on their profit and loss statement or their income statement, but when you look at their balance sheet, you see that they owe a lot of money. So they're actually not making money. They're functioning on borrowed money. And your cash flow, it basically shows you how the actual cash that you have within the business is flowing, whether you have enough money to last your business for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 days. That's the 3 statements that every business owners should not only review on a regular basis, but understand. And with those 3 statements, you can get a full picture of the state that your business is in.
Yeah. So full transparency as we continue and go through this, my background and my expertise in advisory service is in operations and strategy. Nakeicha's background is in finances, taxes. What else do you want to say?
Yeah. So I have a background. I have a degree in accounting, but honestly, that means absolutely nothing when it comes to understanding your personal finance. It means that I understand accounting, right, to a certain extent. But accountants are in debt too, so that doesn't mean anything. But yeah, my background is finance and accounting and taxes, and most of my knowledge has been through experience. I've worked with several startups, from Keller Williams to organization called P3 Communications, which was a German technology company. I've worked with a few startups. I was able to not only see how the businesses function behind the scenes from a finance level, but I was also able to see how the startups function and how they had to kind of borrow money from other resources in order to stay afloat for the first few years. So having a financial barrier or financial issue isn't a small business issue. Most businesses that are starting out will have some barriers when it comes to finances. The difference that I've noticed, though, is when I worked with those startups, they had access to resources. They had access to funding using other people's money. A lot of small business owners use their own money. And when you're using your own money, you want to be as frugal as possible, as efficient as possible, and you want to leverage all the resources that are available to you so you have more capital as you start to grow and build.
Yeah. And for me, my background was in telecommunications. I worked in telecommunications 20 years. But during that tenure, my wife and I, we owned 2 brick and mortar businesses together while I was working my 9 to 5. So I came to support after work, on the weekends, on the job, in the job. And again, with my telecommunication background, I did understand a lot about systems and operations and how things function. I just took some of that experience and transferred it to the entrepreneurship space. And over the last 2 years, we have been advisors. And for a year, we were consultants on the Rutgers Newark Small Business Development Center, which is here locally. We're still advisors, at least till the end of the year. And we've worked with dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs in this space and found out, again, a lot of business owners, they are looking for support. They just don't know, what they don't know. And the goal for us is to help them with that, support them in that journey, and help them get the results that they're looking for, which is to create a successful and strong business. Now, talking about the entrepreneurs that we work with and the entrepreneurs we've served, about 10 to 15% of Americans identify as entrepreneurs or business owners. And that's a huge number.
10%?
10 to 15% of 300 million.
Okay.
About 30
That's
million.
significant.
It's pretty big. And people don't know that every year about 5 million entities are created under a business, saying that there are businesses or businesses to be started. And that's a huge number. And why is that huge? Is because of what that number represents. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know about the GDP, gross domestic product, but that number is about how much money or funding is utilized to help fund our country. And small businesses represent 43% of our GDP. And
Can you say that again? Because you're having a conversation, right? And you're sharing the numbers. And I think that that's a massive piece of the economy, right? And how America functions. So
yeah.
I don't want to just kind of rush past that. I kind of want to sit on that for a little bit, because 10% of the 10 to 15%, I think is what you said.
Yes.
10 to 15% of the population are entrepreneurs or business owners.
Yes. That means.
And of that 10%, they are carrying 43% of the GDP. That's almost 50% of the economy in the United States of America. So that's massive.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think it's really important for us to identify, okay, how can we stop, or how can we support business owners,
Yeah.
so they can continue to contribute to the economy. Go ahead, Corey.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what this is. So one of our missions is to support 1 million businesses by 2035, whether it's through the internet, one-on-ones, through financial, digital products. There are different ways that we can support entrepreneurs, and our goal is to support 1 million of them by 2035. Now, that's also another reason why we started this podcast, is because this is, I think, the only way where we can reach that many people within that 10-year span. 9 years now, because we're in 2026. But we're working on it. We've, again, worked with the Small Business Development Center. We work with some entrepreneurs there. But now we think we understand enough to where we can present or give value to the community that we want to serve, which is the entrepreneur community. And so, again, with the GDP or business owners representing 43% of the GDP of the United States, people don't know that the 5 million businesses that apply every year, that 20% of them fail in the first year of business. So if we can make a small dent in just that 20% in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and there are tons of entrepreneur leaders out there, business owners that are teaching the same thing we're teaching. The goal is that after you're being taught, you have to take the action on what you've learned. And we found that that is another piece that people are having issues with. That's why we have an advisory and coaching service, because we want to support the entrepreneurs once they understand what they have to do for their own business. And businesses are just like humans. Everyone is different. There is no one size fits all for entrepreneurs. So again, this podcast is the same way. There's not one podcast out there that's going to help every entrepreneur with every issue. It's impossible, right?
I think this is a great foundation to start. I think this is the most important piece. Like, we can't talk about anything else until we talk about understanding finance. And although we're talking about business finance, I think, or just financial literacy in general, right? Mm-hmm. I think your personal finance is very closely connected to your business finance, because what tends to, and I did this, what tends to happen is, if your business is struggling, where do you get the money from, right? If you can't get financing if your business is struggling, you're not getting financing from a bank, period. Mm-hmm. So the financing now comes from your personal assets and whatever you have acquired on the personal end. So we're talking about business, but if you have a business, don't have a business, you know someone that have a business, I think it's important to share the information. But then now it's like, okay, now we know what the problem is. Now what? What do we do? You just shared 20% of businesses fail within the first year. Yep. 50% of businesses fail by year 5. Yep. 10% of the population are business owners, and they contribute to 43% of the GDP, right? And then you also mentioned that there's $20 billion of tax unclaimed. And I can't even, so this was supposed to be part of the conversation. I was supposed to be talking about tax and incentives, but, and Corey may not like this, I think that's a completely separate podcast, talking definitely about tax and incentives. And I think the goal now is, okay, now that we know business owners are financially illiterate, 50% of business owners are financially illiterate, now what? Now, if I'm a business owner and I'm saying, okay, Corey and Nakeicha, thank you very much for that information. Mm-hmm. Now, what can I do today to start to learn and start to change the trajectory of my business?
Yeah, well, luckily today we have AI, right? And AI is a big part of supporting us in any journey we have, especially in entrepreneurship, because now there's more information than ever. But the whole thing is you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. And that's with anything. I'm taking action with our health. We watch what we eat. We taking action with our exercising, our exercising regimen, and what we do in that space. So that's just something simple that you can do. But with entrepreneurship, it's not as easy. It's not as clear cut because, again, like I said, all businesses aren't created the same. So you do need some advice. You do need some guidance. You do need someone with leadership abilities to help you and guide you on your journey. Now, some people may ask, like, where can they get some support? Our goal is to support entrepreneurs with education and information and create a community where at some point down this road, we will create something online where we can speak to you, ask general questions, answer general questions. We're going to start doing live streams, hopefully within a month. And the goal is, again, to connect with the community and provide value. Now, for some of you that may not, be on the live right now or in communication on this podcast right now, I think a place where you can get immediate help and attention and or support is for the organization that we were working for, which is the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, which they have organizations all throughout the nation. You can Google SBDC, your local SBDC, and usually there's a college that supports these SBDCs or where they're housed, and you can sign up. You can get a free consultant or coach and talk about where you're at or what you're thinking of doing on your entrepreneurial journey. This is something, a resource that goes overlooked that most people don't know or are unaware of. And I think that is the easiest way to actually get some support and some help with and in your business today. So I think that's pretty good for now. I think we can start moving and coasting along with some of these conversations. Again, this is the first podcast, the Wilson podcast. Maybe this is somewhat short, but the goal is for us, just like we're telling you, is to get the reps in, to do the work, take action, and just do it. What it's going to look like, what this podcast looks like today, is definitely not what it's going to look like 6 months from now, a year from now. And the goal is to keep improving. The goal is to keep recording and also to be consistent. And if we do that long enough, we'll be good enough soon enough. So
before you wrap up, I just want to... That's it. We can wrap up.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, I would like to say you can be the smartest and most experienced person in the room, but if people do not know who you are or they cannot, access you, then that experience goes down the drain. So this is our way to get our experience and get our voice out there to help as many people as possible. And with that being said, we thank you for joining us on the Wilson Podcast. All right.
See you next time.